Welcome back to HPL. We saw Tides take a 1-0 lead over Jab here. And you know what? Jab made that change in his deck choices that he needed to make. It just didn't come through for a win for him.
Yeah, I mean, kind of going over to a different kind of mid-range strategy is what Jab did. And I have to agree with his strategy, too. I mean, we've seen him very much focused on killing minions that are pressed to the board, making sure he can keep control of everything. That's, I think, what that Dragon Warlock deck seems to be best at. But, guys, Game 2, Jab versus Tides is getting underway.
Let's see if Jab continues to stray away from Warrior and stuff in his comfort zone. It looks like he's going to be playing a Paladin deck here. This is a class we haven't seen much of in HPL yet.
Yeah, I mean, still something that, is very focused on the mid-range here. You can see the Sylvanas in his hand. Not an uncommon card in Paladin, of course, but not a card that we've been seeing a ton of from the players coming into HPL.
Yeah, we haven't seen that card a lot, and honestly, we haven't seen just a lot of Paladin in general, and Tides of Time has brought what looks like to be a very control-heavy version of Warrior.
Yeah, shield block and shield slam, and then the Ysera to couple with it. Pretty telltale sign that he wants to take this one to the late game and see exactly how this one can pan out. Jab's got a very good hand for the early game, but Warrior's not one of those decks that's going to come out swinging with stuff like Flame Imps and Knife Jugglers and all that sort of stuff. So Zombie Chow, if Tides ends up finding something like Fiery War Axe, can very easily be checked, as well as the Knife Juggler to follow that with it. Shielded Minibot really going to be the threat he's looking for to push the action on this board. But Tides really thinking about this hand and how he needs to mulligan. If he doesn't find a weapon very early or a way to kind of check this aggression from Jab, this game could quickly snowball out of control.
And Shielded Minibot is the card I really want to talk about. That's the card you want in all of your opening hands of Paladin. That is the card that makes this deck tick.
Yeah, picks up Acolyte of Pain and Fiery War Axe off his mulligan.
Just a great mulligan.
Yeah, what an excellent one here. Even shield block to make sure he can continue digging and execute in case he finds himself running into some more aggressive stuff here. But look at that. Decks. That is, it's a really strong draw at this point, but there's kind of two sides to this coin now. And the first one is in this situation where Tides has something like Acolyte of Pain and Whirlwind, it's dire straits for him at that point. But if he finds himself in a situation where he can check the Acolyte of Pain, Muster for Battle becomes an enormous threat versus Warrior, who, outside of those sweeping effects like Whirlwind, doesn't have a lot of good ways to answer 1/1 minions.
Yeah, and Jab already with the Knife Juggler in his hand, too. Could possibly set up a pretty big turn with Knife Juggler and Muster for Battle. You're going to definitely see him play the Shielded Minibot here, though. It checks this Fiery War Axe really well.
Yeah, so already got a little bit of a threat down, but again, this Acolyte of Pain, this is going to be a nuisance from Tides of Time. We'll see how this moves forward here. Even considering coining out the Zombie Chow there, making sure he's got everything checked. Armor Smith, another great way to pick it up and kind of stifle this early game. Quartermaster is a potential beastly draw here.
Yeah, Quartermaster is a pretty great card just in any point in time in your Paladin matchup. Is makes your hero power a real beefy play that you can make, but it makes Muster for Battle a real threat.
Yeah, 2 Armor Smiths here for Tides of Time, and this is really a matter of which one of these minions he's going to attack. I have to believe he's going to aim it at the Shielded Minibot, and then Quartermaster going to add 8 power to the board on the backswing of that.
Yeah, I've actually seen people in situations like this attack the Silverhand recruits here, but just because of the fact that if something like Quartermaster were to happen, I'm just going to get blown out from here, and you're going to see Jab. He cannot coin out this Quartermaster quicker.
Yeah, this is a massive threat to Warrior. This is one of the reasons why this deck is so powerful versus Warrior, is how much pressure it applies on this front here. Able to take out an Armor Smith does give Tides some health in this regard, effectively with that armor, but this is complete control here. He's able to start applying this pressure. All the armor gets shredded at this point. Really, the big story here is that this combination of these two cards provides so much threat on the Tides of Time side of the board that, usually this is a tough situation for Warriors to recover from if they don't have something like Brawl here straight away.
Yeah, Tides of Time needs a Brawl, and he needs it quick. It's going to be hard for him to get back in this game from this point. Jab is coming in from a lot of angles with a lot of pressure, and you got to believe that Tides is going to start out with a shield block this turn unless he has some real designs on getting this big game hunter into play and start trading off. But this Cruel Taskmaster doesn't have the greatest of targets right now. He can target his own Armor Smith, send it in to kill one of the Silverhand recruits, but that's not getting him super far where he needs to go. And if he has cards like Brawl in his deck, and you have to assume he does, Shield Slam and execute this turn. Great pickup from Tides of Time there. Able to utilize his mana very well this turn. And he's going to get in, he's going to get a little jab here towards Jab with the Armor Smith. Just a great turn from Tides of Time there. Wow.
That is a really, really strange card that you do not see in every single one of these decks. And the big story here is that Tides has been able to kind of, kill what Jab's throwing at him, but very ineffectively when you talk about card totals here. Jab invested 2 cards into getting this much power on the board, and now Tides has begun to invest actual resources into killing these combinations of cards, and Jab still ends up with 5 power on his side of the board.
Yeah, he's got 5 power and 5 cards in his hand. You're going to see him move in here. This
Wow.
Blessing of the Kings is going to make this Quartermaster a giant threat, but he keeps it at 6 power. Very important in this matchup to not get your minion in Big Game Hunter range.
Yeah, it is going to force the Cruel Taskmaster here to be coupled with Big Game Hunter, so a little bit unfortunate for him there, but again, it was such a massive threat that I like this play here from Jab. If that goes unchecked, he's going to find himself in a fantastic position.
Consecration, also a pretty big draw from Jab here. If he wants to, he can clear both minions from Tides of Time side of the board. That was a pretty big draw on that spot.
Yeah, now he's going to have to consider, though, how he starts allocating his resources, because after that swing there from the Cruel Taskmaster to the Big Game Hunter, he's been a little bit checked at this point, and he still has to find the pressure to make sure he can deal with all of this. And he's just going to go here with Pilot and Shredder. He's got a 67% chance to get this juggle.
He doesn't pick it up. Now, you have to believe this Zombie Chow is going to go in as soon as possible here just to get a little less value to Tides. You're only going to give him 4 life instead of 5. So, yeah, I fully expect to see this Zombie Chow trade-off here. Now, if he eats this Cruel Taskmaster, it's also a pretty interesting play because it's going to leave his Zombie Chow back, and it's going to leave the, okay, so he's going to trade off of the BGH. He's going to leave the Zombie Chow in play.
Yeah, protect the Knife Juggler here is really the story of this. Excellent pickup from Tides. Now able to start checking minions that are in play with his health total. You know, Jab has favored trading in certain situations this game, and Tides threw everything he had to make sure this board didn't snowball out of control. And with that Deathbite draw, I have to believe he's a little bit of a favorite now to start pulling away with this game.
Yeah, he's still got Shield Block and Shield Maiden in his hand. He can gain a ton of life in the rest of the game, cycle through his deck a little bit more, and he has that Alexstrasza looming. He's going to be able to play it, put Jab down to 15, and close the game out pretty quickly from there.
Yeah, another weapon picked up here, and both of these 1 health minions going to be swept away. And Snow Chugger could be a little bit of a threat, though. You're going to see Shield Maiden come here, make sure that it, you know, pads his life total a little bit more, starts providing threats to the board. But Snow Chugger is going to shut off future weapons for a little bit of time here. So that Fiery Warlock's not going to be able to be utilized, and you couple that with the fact that he can sit behind a Sludge Belcher. I mean, this is looking like another potential turning point here for Jab. I mean, this game has been very back and forth so far.
This game's been very back and forth, and pretty good pickups here for Jab in these last 2 turns. This Elder Peacekeeper is going to make this Shield Maiden not a really big threat here. It's got to follow the rules, but as we said, Tides of Time is going to put Jab down to 15 and get this 8/8 into play. Jab, though, got a pretty good answer to giant minions in his hand.
Yeah, a Quality Consecrate can apply a ton of pressure here, and once again, he can protect himself from weapons with the Snow Chugger effect. It's going to freeze Tides every single time it hits him. Now, the trade-off for this is how vulnerable does he become to something like Baron Geddon or Whirlwind after this. So that's going to be looming in his mind as well, but he does need to find a way to check this Alexstrasza.
You know, it's a really good point when you talk about how susceptible he is to cards like that. I don't know if Jab can afford to play around that at this point in time. Tide of Time is at 25 with an 8/8 in play.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that, you know, trying to find a way to play around everything at this point is not exactly what Jab needs to be doing. At this stage of the game, he needs to find where his winning line of play is. And if that means taking a risk this turn, it means taking a risk this turn. And frankly, I have to agree with you. If something like, you know, a Whirlwind came into effect after this equality, he doesn't really have a way to win the game after that. But, you know, kind of conversely to that, if you see everything unfold and this Alexstrasza starts getting value, I mean, you may see this game turn around. He's going to favor playing it safe still. You know, something else to note, though, is that the Alexstrasza can crash through the first body of the Sludge Belcher, and that does potentially leave Tides of Time in a position where he'll play another big minion behind that. So, you know, there is risk versus reward here. Is Tide's going to have something excellent to throw behind it, and it looks like he's going to. Shield Maiden going to pad that life total, and even going to add Piloted Shredder to this board, it looks like.
Jab's going to get a ton of value out of his Equality Consecration. His patience is going to be severely rewarded this turn.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of an interesting spot for him to have held on to this equality for as long as he did, and like you said, paid off in spades. Not only does the Sludge Belcher not take that big dip in life total, but at the same time, he also finds himself in a spot getting 2 extra minions out of it. Oh, and he draws Dr. Boom to follow this up. I mean, this is looking like massive turns from him. He may not even cast Consecrate here, considering the fact that he has the Light's Justice and the Dr. Boom. I mean, he could potentially just put the Dr. Boom out behind this and just use his life total to try to leverage things here.
Yeah, that is a good point, but I gotta believe you're gonna see him Consecration here, and we will, and then you're gonna see him push for a ton of damage. You're gonna be able to pick off this Novice Engineer very easily with this Light's Justice. Now, I really like not playing Dr. Boom this turn because you were super far ahead on the board and you're freezing Tides of Time with the Snow Chugger here. So Tide's really only out for, in my mind here, something like either Baron Geddon or a Brawl. And what's a really good, or Whirlwind, and what's a really good follow-up to that? Dr. Boom.
Yeah, everything going his way. Ysera is not the draw he wants. He's going to shield block and try to pick up something. Shield slam is not very strong versus any of these minions. He's actually even going to shield slam the 3-power minion instead of the Snow Chugger, so this Fiery War Axe not getting online soon either.
That might have been a little hasty of a play from Tides there. You got to believe, maybe he did the math and he really needed to kill the 3-power minion there, but maybe he should have taken a moment to just consider actually shield slamming the Snow Chugger there, because that's what's important right now. The fact that he's getting frozen every turn and can't use his weapons is really hampering him in this game. And it looks like Jab's going to go for the, I was about to say, he might be going for the uppercut here and try to finish it.
Yeah, I mean, this adds enough power to the board to make sure he's going to kill him even through the hero power here. So very big throw over to TidesofTime, picks up Sludge Belcher to help protect himself this turn. But, you know, that's little use versus 7-power minions and no way to kill him. He cannot play this Ysera in his hand. He's dangerously low as well. And Tyrion gets picked up for Jab right after he pushes through this damage. He's going to be able to put his faith in the light and all but close this game out and tie this series up at 1 game apiece.
Yeah, really hard card for a controller to deal with in Tyrion. Not only do they have trouble killing it right away, but the weapon that it leaves behind, the 5/3 Ashbringer, usually can spell death for the Control Warrior.
Yeah, Jab doesn't even think that being able to shut off weapons is even important anymore. Tyrion is really going to put a lot of pressure on Tides. I don't see a single draw that can get him out of this, and that's going to do it. Jab's going to tie this series up at 1 game apiece.
Yeah, we see the nice little juke and jive from Jab here so far in this match, not playing any decks that he's played so far here in HPL. He's already played 2 completely different decks, 2 new strategies, and we saw him almost win game 1. We saw him win game 2 here, even off the back of a not great opening draw. I mean, his draw was good, but not great against Control Warrior, but he played really well, got that Snow Chugger, and that Snow Chugger got a lot of value in that game.
Yeah, something that's really interesting to note here, too, is that Jab isn't necessarily switching it up too terribly much. He's playing to his strength in this. He's finding strategies that work well with the way that he's playing these mid-range decks and trying to capitalize on those. I think it's a fantastic choice for him moving forward. You know, and as that continues to go and he finds the right choices to mix those strategies up, then he can kind of start throwing in the, you know, the more heavy aggro decks or more heavy control decks. But in the meantime, continue to focus on this mid-range strategy. It's working beautifully for him, and now Tides is in a position where he's seen Jab play 2 mid-range decks in a row, and how does he adjust to that?
Yeah, speaking of adjustments, these players have a couple minutes here in between games to make adjustments. Now we're going to take a quick break while they change their decks, their heroes, anything they don't like about their class. So we'll see what they're going to be playing. You're watching Hearthstone on PvP Live.